The federal courts, also under-resourced, have become, instead of the courts of last resort, the courts of first resort, as more and more issues, immigration and others, come pouring in to courts ill-equipped to handle them. And in our governments, at the federal level, at the state level, we see a stalemate, a paralysis, a seeming inability to move forward to address these desperate needs, the pivotal issues, and the lack of fiscal resources to address them, even if the will and the public process were available to do so. So this is a very, very difficult and challenging time for all of us, but particularly for the clients that we seek to serve. There is, however, good news. And the good news is in this room. Pro bono, I always think when I, because you think of the State of Union analog, I always want to get up and say, the state of pro bono is sound. It's my little Ronald Reagan thing. But probably as close as I would ever get, for those of you who know me. But it is true that 2009, as Bob said, we don't have the figures yet for 2009, but 2009 is shaping up to be an extraordinary year. 2008, which we didn't have the figures on last year, turned out to be an amazing, record-breaking year. The law firms that are signatories to our Law Firm Pro Bono Challenge racked up 5 million hours of pro bono service. 5 million hours. Well, the applause should go to all of you, because you did it. On the corporate side, the pace of acceptance and change and movement is astounding. We have 96 corporate signatories to our Corporate Pro Bono Challenge, companies who have made the commitment that they will involve a majority of their lawyers and legal staff in pro bono every year, and I can assure you are taking that commitment very seriously. Beyond those 96, there are 300 plus additional legal departments that are now supporting formal pro bono work, and that number grows hourly, not even daily, but hourly. We now have a majority of the Fortune 100 companies in this country and around the world doing pro bono work on a formal basis. 5 years ago, there were probably 1 or 2. And as the corporate and in-house world move to institutionalize pro bono, what we see is broadening pro bono activities that are accelerating at a breathtaking pace. So while we certainly cannot and should not seek to supplant the role of government and the obligation and responsibility of government to fund legal services and access to justice, the people in this room and the people that you represent who are back home in your law firms and legal departments and public interest groups are doing an amazing amount to sustain and strengthen this nation and its people, and are beginning to expand that work around the world. This is a time of profound change, deep challenges, but also great opportunities. The future is uncertain, but that should not stop us. You will see the tagline that we put up. Alan Kay is a Nobel Prize-winning scientist, and we were very taken with this tagline, this notion that the best way to predict the future is to invent it. And I think that that is our task today with respect to pro bono. To paraphrase another wise commentator, in hard times, poorly run pro bono programs look for refuge. Well-managed pro bono programs look for opportunities. We need to embrace, co-opt, and own the change. We need, sounds a little spiritual, to be the change. At a time when pro bono resources are essential, it is also time to ask ourselves some of the hard questions about pro bono. Not only are we doing as much as we can, which is certainly a fundamental question, but are we doing it as well as we can? And I think the most fundamental and difficult question of all, what difference are we making? My concern is that the impact of the pro bono work, the astounding, important, high-quality pro bono work that people are doing in this room, that the impact of that is not as significant, as focused, and as sustained as it could be. And let me tell you what raises that concern for me. About 15 years ago, I chaired a national comprehensive legal needs study that the ABU was doing. And we were smart enough to realize that lawyers shouldn't design surveys. So we actually went out, got some money, and we hired a survey research firm and did what I think to this day is one of the most methodologically sound surveys of client legal needs out there. I shouldn't say client legal needs, it's legal problems identified by clients, or problems identified by clients that could be resolved, could find their resolution in the justice system. And what we found in that study is a figure that I'm sure you've heard often. And that is, for low-income people, 80% of those who had a significant life problem that could have been solved in the legal system, whether that is the question of custody of a child, losing your home, facing abuse, whatever it may be, 80% of those people did not get legal help for their problem. Very disturbing. Fast forward 15 years, and many millions of additional pro bono hours. And there are now state studies. There hasn't been another national study, but there are state studies of legal needs. And the state studies find, very disturbingly, that 80% of low-income and disadvantaged people who have a problem that could be resolved in the legal system are not getting help. Now, we're increasingly over-regulated and over-lawyered and over-legalized. Well, not over-lawyered, but over-legalized. And we have problems that we never, I mean, who would have thought that, you know, we'd have to help millions of people deal with foreclosures. So part of this, obviously, is more poor people, more legal issues. But some of it, I think, is the fact that the way that we undertake legal services and public interest work, and therefore the way that we respond in terms of pro bono resources, is randomized, atomized, scattered, effective for that one client, but not the underlying problem.